So we are dealing with the biasing of the transistor, and transistor is a three-terminal device. Like all other three-terminal device, like the transistor, you have to bias the device first, just like the transistor. Other three-terminal devices also you have to bias the device by a particular biasing circuit, and these are the type of biasing circuits you are learning from the transistor with the help of the device transistor. So we have little bit of discussions on the fixed bias, which is the simplest biasing circuit for the transistor, and this circuit can amplify signal. We have analyzed little bit the stability criteria of this fixed bias circuit, and we have understood that this fixed bias circuit is not a very good stable circuit. Okay, so we have studied it from the stability factors that you see that SICO is beta plus 1. As beta is high, so SICO value will be high, and that makes the circuit unstable. Little bit, the stability is not good, but you can increase the stability of the this circuit in terms of other parameters like VBE and beta, uh, just increasing the RB resistance. So just see the expressions in the denominator you have the RB, so you can increase the stability by reducing SVBE and S beta. How? Because you have to choose a higher value resistance RP, then the stability of this circuit can be improved slightly. Okay, today we will discuss other type of biasing circuits, that is the collector to base bias circuit and the self bias or the fixed bias circuit. So these are the other type of biasing circuits which is little bit better compared to the fixed bias circuit. We will analyze this circuit, but the process is similar. The analysis of the circuit biasing circuit and the process to analyze the stability concerns of the other biasing circuit is similar, but we have to just compare with these different biasing circuit, that which biasing circuit will be the stable one and which stability is better for comparing these three biasing circuits. Next, we will discuss the collector to base bias circuit. So this is the second type of biasing. You can see that previously you have the fixed bias circuit, where you see that in case of fixed bias circuit, you see uh, in case of fixed bias circuit, you see that both the resistances RB and the resistance RC is directly connected to VCC. Okay, VCC positive terminal is directly connected to RC as well as RB, and RC resistance is supplying the collector current, and RB resistance is supplying the constant base current that actually biases the transistor, or make a particular DC collector current flowing through the transistor and particular DC base current which is flowing through the transistor base, as well as the different voltages VB, VC, different voltages will be DC voltages will be applied by this type of circuit. So this is a construction of the circuit, and the emitter, you just look into this, that there is no emitter resistance. Okay, so emitter is directly connected to ground. So this is the simplest form of the biasing circuit. Now we will discuss the second biasing circuit, which is a collector to base bias circuit. Okay, in this biasing circuit, slight modifications of the fixed bias circuit will be have been done here. You just see that. So this is the supply voltage VCC. Okay, supply voltage. Emitter of the transistor. So this is the emitter. Emitter of the transistor is directly grounded. There is no emitter resistance is there. It is directly grounded. Emitter is directly connected to the ground of the circuit, and uh, RC resistance, which is directly connected to the VCC positive terminal. So this RC resistance is one end is directly connected to the VCC positive terminal, and other end of the RC resistance is connected to the collector of the transistor. So this is similar to the fixed bias circuit. You have seen that in the fixed bias circuit, the RC, the resistance which is connected to the collector of the biasing circuit is also in the fixed bias circuit is also similar. That RC is connected between VCC and collector of the transistor. But the RB resistance in case of fixed bias circuit, you can remember that in case of fixed bias circuit, the RB resistance was connected from VCC to between VCC and base. RCC was connected like this, but in this case, there is a slight modification of the fixed bias circuit, and that modification is that the RB resistance, this RB resistance is not connected from the VCC to base, but the RB resistance is connected from the collector of the transistor point to the base of the transistor. So RB resistance is connected between the collector of the transistor. You see that this is the collector point, and as well as the previous as that of the similar to the fixed bias circuit, that it is also other end is also connected to the base of the transistor. So this is the modification. Instead of connecting the RB resistance to supply the base current from VCC to base, the RB resistance in this case is connected between collector point of the transistor and the base. So in this way, the RB resistance is actually connected, and you can see that this is the base current which is flowing. The base current is flowing from the collector point. So in this way, the base current is actually flowing, and this base current is flowing through the RB resistance. So this is the slight modifications of the previous biasing circuit. I hope that you can understand that how the modification have been done with respect to the fixed bias circuit. In case of fixed bias circuit, both RB and RC is directly connected to the VCC, but in this case, it is not connected to the VCC, but RB resistance is connected between the collector and the base of the transistor. So this is the modification of the previous circuit. Now, this slight modification will improve the performance of this biasing circuit. Okay, and we will see that the stability of this circuit now it is better than the fixed bias circuit. Stability will be better. With respect to the stability, we have to measure the biasing circuit first, because if the circuit is not stable, then your circuit will not work. Amplification will not be performed, because before the amplification, the transistor will burn due to thermal runaway. So we have to consider the stability criteria of this type of circuits. More and more, we will try to develop a stable circuit. These all circuits are already invented and already there. We have to just learn this science that how the circuits are stable, whether the circuit is stable or not. Now the collector to base bias circuit, we will now, just previously as that of the fixed bias circuit, we will now analyze this circuit a little bit. And and the analysis is slightly different from the fixed bias circuit. Process is same, but the analysis results of the equations will be slightly different, because the RB is now connected. Now the RB is connected between the collector point and the base point. It is not now, previously in the fixed bias circuit, RB was connected between the VCC and the base, but it is now connected between the collector point and the base point. Now the analysis will be slightly different. The purpose of the biasing circuit, as I have said earlier, what is the purpose of the biasing circuit? The purpose of the biasing circuit is to flow some constant current between the terminals, as well as to apply some constant voltages between base emitter and base collector junctions. Why we bias the transistor? Why this biasing circuit is required? Because we want some amplification from the transistor. So we want to amplify signal from this transistor. First, we have to bias. If you set the biasing circuit properly, that means you have put the RB, RC, and VCC values properly. You have calculated this by the equations, and you have properly chosen the values and constructed the circuit. Then what will happen? If your design is correct, then the base emitter voltage, so this voltage between the base and emitter, base emitter voltage will be 0.7 volt. Okay, 0.7 volt, which is the forward bias barrier potential. Okay, between base and emitter, you have a PN junction. It is NPN transistor, so it is a NP junction from emitter to base. So you just look carefully that it is a NPN transistor. So N is the emitter, P is the base, and there is a PN junction. So if the PN junction is forward bias, or you know from the previous classes, the concept of the semiconductor junction, that the depletion region with potential will be 0.7 volt for silicon material. Same thing is here. Here you have a between base and emitter, you have a PN, NP or PN junction is there. And this biasing circuit will make this base emitter junction forward bias. And that is why you will see that this plus minus VBE, which is the forward bias PN junction voltage across this transistor. Okay, so if you want to conduct current in a PN junction diode, you have to at least apply 0.7 volt across the PN junction, then the current will start. Why it is so? Because you know that within the junction, PN junction, in the depletion region, there is a opposite barrier potential is there, and that is the magnitude is 0.7 volt for the silicon. So to start conducting current into the PN junction, externally you have to apply 0.7 volt. Unless you apply the 0.7 volt externally, no current will flow because of the internal barrier potential 0.7 volt, which is opposite to the external barrier potential. That is why, that means you have to apply some forward bias. And due to that forward bias, this VBE potential 0.7 volt appears across this base emitter junction, and then the current will flow, and the majority carriers from the emitter, which is the electrons, will cross the junction and reach the base and ultimately go to the collector. So this is the basic physics behind this this forward bias. And the biasing circuit, actually this biasing circuit will perform that one, that it will specifically forward bias the base emitter junction. Okay, but other junction is base collector junction, and this biasing circuit, if your resistances are correct, your design is correct, then the other junction, the base collector junction, will be automatically reverse biased, because the potential applied to the base collector junction will be in the reverse bias direction. You see that the voltage, the battery here, you see that the battery VCC plus is here. So you see that the battery potential here, it is the plus here and minus here. Okay, so this is the battery potential, and this plus terminal is connected through the resistance RC to the collector at this point. And what is the material for the collector? It is a NPN transistor. So collector is N. So N-type material is connected through the resistance RC to the plus terminal of the battery, and automatically this collector junction, base collector junction, will be in the reverse bias. But what happens to the base emitter junction? You see that the negative terminal of the battery, that means this terminal, is connected to the emitter. Negative terminal of the battery is connected to the emitter, which is a N-type material. Okay, so minus potential or the negative potential is connected to the N material. So automatically the N emitter and P base, this junction will be forward bias. So this polarity of this VCC supply automatically makes these junctions, the base emitter junction forward bias, And you know that in the case of forward bias, you have the at least 0.7 volt to conduct current. And the base collector junction will be in the reverse bias automatically. But the magnitude of these voltages, okay, it is a forward bias direction, but unless you apply 0.7 volt to the base emitter junction, no current can flow. Okay, so you have to make sure that the forward bias base emitter junction, that means this voltage VBE, should be at least 0.7 volt or greater than that. The voltage applied due to this VCC and the resistances should be 0.7 volt or more than that. Then automatically this junction will be turned on, current will flow, and automatically that voltage will be fixed to 0.7 volt, nearly to the 0.7 volt. But in case of base collector junction, you have to choose the specific values of the resistances. That is called the designing. You have to design the circuit, and then you have to extract or calculate the resistance values RB and RC such that a specific base collector reverse bias voltage is applied, which will make the transistor Q point in the middle of the active region. Not only it will make the transistor in the active region, that means the base emitter junction is forward bias, base collector junction is reverse bias, but it will make the Q point in the middle of the active region. So this is the purpose of these biasing circuits. It will set some DC voltages across the base emitter base collector junction, and it will supply some specific DC current, collector current, base current, and emitter current in such a manner that transistor will be in the active region. And not only that, the Q point should be in the middle of the active region. So this is the purpose of the biasing circuits, and that is why this type of biasing, and the voltage polarity VCC is opposite here. If you reverse the voltage polarity of VCC, then this biasing circuit will not work. You definitely know that if you reverse it, then the collector base junction will be forward bias and base emitter junction will be reverse bias, and no transistor action will be performed. So this is the biasing purpose of the biasing circuit, and in this way the biasing circuit actually sets some DC current flowing through the transistors as well as some DC voltages across the transistor. Now we will calculate this current and voltages across the transistor. What are the equations to calculate these currents and voltages across the transistor? If you know these equations, if you can extract these equations by applying some KVL, then you can calculate the resistance values RB, RC, and for a particular VCC. This is called the designing of the biasing circuit. Now you see that as the RB resistance, so this resistance is connected between the collector and the base of the transistor. So you can easily see, say that a base current is flowing in this way. So the base current will be flowed in this way through the resistance RB and to the base of the transistor. And through resistance RC, actually from this collector point, a collector current will flow in this way. And that is IC. You see that IC is written here. So this is your IC. And red arrow actually in the downward actually say that this is the collector current flowing through the transistor between collector and emitter. So the emitter current will be the summation, emitter current is here. So emitter current will be summation of the collector current plus the incoming base current. So this is the current equations. But what happens to the resistance RC? Through the resistance RC now, what is the current is actually flowing through the resistance RC? It is the total current. That means the RC actually supplying the collector current, this current, as well as the base current. So a part of the total current will supply as a base current. So in this way. So through this RC resistance, actually two currents are supplied, and in the collector point, two branches are there. One is going towards the base through the resistance RB, other is directly going towards the collector. So through this RC resistance, actually the current is flowing, which is the base current as well as the collector current. That is why through RC resistance, you have IC plus IB. So this is the total amount of current which is flowing through the resistance RC. I hope that you have understood that the current, how the current actually flows through this biasing circuit, and what are the voltages applied across the transistor. Between collector and the emitter, you have a voltage drop which is called the VCE. So this is the collector emitter voltage, and this is the base emitter voltage. So these are the DC voltages applied, and these are the currents, DC currents actually flowing through the terminals of the transistor biasing, this type of biasing circuits. So this biasing circuit sets the DC voltages VBE across base emitter, sets the DC voltages VCE across collector emitter, and also set the DC collector current as well as the base current flowing through the transistor. This will make the transistor in the active region, and if the design is correct, proper design, then the Q point will be in the middle of the active region. The Q point, what is the Q point? I am repeatedly saying the Q point because I have shown in the earlier class that what is the Q point. Shifting of the Q point will distort the signal. We have discussed little bit conceptually, but I have not yet defined the Q point specifically. We will define it later. In the next biasing circuit, we will define the Q point. Then you will your understanding will be much more clear that why we need to set the Q point specifically. So until now, I hope that you have understood that how this circuit is slightly different from the fixed bias circuit, and how the currents actually branches between the different paths, and what are the voltages applied across the transistor. Let us now apply some KVL equation to extract some equations. First, we will calculate VCE. The potential drop, VCE, is the potential drop between the collector point, so this point, and the emitter point or the ground. So this potential drop between the collector and the emitter or the ground here is called the VCE, collector emitter voltage. Okay. VC is the collector potential with respect to emitter. That is why the symbol is like this. So this is the symbolization. Okay. E is with respect to emitter. E is a letter, the second suffix. The collector potential VC, C is the first suffix, which is the potential. So the collector potential with respect to the emitter, which is an emitter is connected to the ground. So this you can say also say that with respect to ground, what will be the collector potential? Now to calculate this collector potential VCE, how to calculate this collector potential? Now you see that between collector and base, you have a resistance RB, and the current flowing through this resistance is IB. Then between collector and base, what will be the potential drop? It will be just IB into RB. Okay. And another potential drop you can calculate, that between the ground or the emitter and the base, you have VBE. Okay, you have VBE. So what will be the total potential? So what is the potential difference between this collector and emitter? It is the summation of the potential drop across the resistance RB and also the VBE. From the collector point to the base point, you have a voltage drop which is RB into IB, and from the base point to the emitter point, you have another potential drop which is VBE. So VCE, which is the potential drop between collector and emitter, is actually, you can say that it is IB into RB plus VBE. So this is the applications of the KVL around the transistor path, a base path. So you can say that we can write that VCE. So this is the VCE. So VCE, we can write it. It is the summation of the two potential. The potential drop from collector to base, which is IBRB, plus the potential drop across the base and the emitter, which is VBE. These two potential, if you sum up, then you can get the potential drop between collector and emitter, or VCE. So this is the potential drop. VCE equal to IB/RB plus VBE. I hope that you have understood this one. It is just a simple KVL equation applied, or the Ohm's law applied to the circuit. You can calculate this VCE, collector emitter voltage, like this. Okay, we need another equation. This is the input side equation. You can say that this is the input side equation, or we are actually accounting the base current into the VC expression. So in this expression, you see that the input parameter IB is there. Now we will calculate, we will now estimate another equation, which is the output equation that actually account for the supply voltage. So we apply a KVL equation into this loop. Take the output loop here. So this is your loop where the current is flowing and VCC is supplying. So current, this loop actually, we apply some KVL. We apply a KVL equation. We extract the KVL equation for this loop equation. Then what will be the KVL equation? The drop across RC, voltage drop across RC, voltage drop across the transistor, collector and emitter, these two voltage drop should be equal to the supply voltage. So this is the idea of the KVL equation. These two voltage drop is actually supplied by the VCC. That is why voltage drop across RC plus voltage drop across collector emitter. So these two voltage drop summation definitely will be the supply voltage. So what is the voltage drop across RC? It is the voltage drop across RC is nothing but the current flowing through the RC, which is IC plus IB into RC. So this is the voltage drop between this point and this point. So the voltage drop across RC is IB plus IC into RC. So this term plus the voltage drop across the transistor, that means the between the collector point and the ground of the emitter. So another voltage drop is there, and that voltage drop is VCE. This voltage drop VCE is unknown quantity, okay? Because how much is the voltage is applied across between the collector and emitter, we have to calculate this thing. So this voltage drop is unknown. So VCE, another voltage drop is VCE. So this is your VCE. The summation of these two voltage drops, that means these two summation voltage drops should be equal to VCC. So this is the second KVL equation, or the KVL equation applied to the output side, output loop. So in this loop, if you apply the KVL equation, then you will get this one. So this is the another equation. Now, after extracting these two equations, these equations actually, we have to use these equations for the designing. That means you see that this VCC supply voltage is related with the currents and the resistances. So from this equation, if you solve these equations, then you will get the values of the resistances, which is required to know to construct the circuit. So this is called the designing. Now the second equation, this equation, for this second equation, this equation, we now substitute just like the previous one, fixed bias circuit, we now substitute in this equation the VCE parameter. You see that this VCE is here. We have calculated this one. So this is your VCE. So we substitute VCE values into this position, IBRB plus PBE. This equation we substitute here. If we substitute this one, then the VCC will become IC plus IB into RC plus, instead of VCE, we have to write this one. So instead of VCE, we now writing IBRB plus VBE, because we have calculated VCE in another path, through another electrical path of this circuit, that between the potential drop between the collector and emitter is just the potential drop across the resistance RB. Okay, then the potential drop across the base and emitter VBE. So this is the summation of these two potential, again will give you VCE. So we have just framed this one, and we have substituted into this second equation to obtain this one. Now this equation, from this equation, we can solve for IB. If we solve for IB, the base current, so if we solve, we have this IB here, one IB is here, another IB is here. So if we solve this for IB, we just take a simple algebraic process of the simple algebraic steps, that you take a common IB into from these two terms, then what will be there? IB into RB plus RC. Okay, this term will give you IC into RC, and this is your VCC and VBE. Then you can solve for IB. If you solve for IB, then it will be VCC minus VBE minus IC into RC divided by RC plus RB. This is very simple. You can do it better. So this we can get from these two equations, that ultimately we can calculate the base current in this form. So what will be the base current expression? Base current IB, which is the input current actually, DC input current, the base current, that is the current is actually flowing into the base of the transistor. So base current IB is simply can be written as VCC minus VBE minus IC into RC divided by RC plus RB. So this is the expressions for the base current. Now, after extracting this base current, and we know that the collector current, what is the collector current? Fundamental collector current equation. So this is the transistor fundamental current equation, which contains the amplification factor beta. So collector current of the transistor, we know this thing, we have discussed earlier, that collector current IC equal to beta into IB plus beta plus 1 into ICO. This is the exact equation for the collector current in terms of the base current. If you consider the reverse saturation current ICO in the reverse biased base collector junction. So this second term of this equation is very small, because this ICO is of the order of nanoampere order. But still, this ICO can affect the transistor stability. We have seen this one, that if the ICO, if you don't control this ICO, though it is small, but if you don't control this ICO into the circuit, then what will happen? The transistor will burn. So that is why we are considering this one. This is the exact equation for the collector current expression in case of transistor in terms of that is the collector current equal to beta times the base current plus beta plus 1 into ICO. Now we substitute this IB from this equation here. So we substitute IB here into this equation. We have calculated IB in this, just following the process we have discussed. So IC is, we substitute IB here, we substitute IB, this one here. Then rearrange this equation to extract the actual collector current. So the collector current, if you rearrange this equation again, then you will get this one. So IC now, you can write this IC equation like this. You just see that. We just see that IC, if you substitute in terms of IB, if you substitute here IB here, then IB expression is VCC minus VBE minus IC into RC by RC plus RB. So this is the IB equation. So in this IB equation, if you substitute just here, then it will be beta times VCC minus VBE IC RC by RC plus RB. So if you arrange this IC term in the left hand side portion, then it will become 1 plus beta RC by this term will appear, and the remaining part will remain here. That is the beta times of VCC minus VBE. This part will remain there. So it is the beta into VCC minus VBE by RC plus RB, and the second term of the equation, that is beta plus 1 into ICO. So this is very easy to understand that this equation we can extract substituting IB into the collector current original equation, we can get this equation. So this is very easy. So now this equation actually gives you the stability concern. Why it is so? Because you see that this is the collector current flowing through the transistor, uh, and this collector current is a function of three parameters is already here into this equation. Okay, you see that this collector current is a function of beta here. So this is the beta, one beta is here, another beta is here, and the third beta is here. So this collector current equation is now a function of beta. And also this collector current, in this equation, you see that it is also a function of VBE, because VBE term, or the base emitter voltage term, is also here. And also this collector current is also a function of collector saturation current. So here, so all the three parameters that actually can affect by the temperature change, that beta, VBE, and ICO, these three parameters actually changes with respect to temperature most in case of a transistor, is already present into the collector current equation, IC. We cannot control the temperature change, this parameter. That means if the temperature of the transistor changes, then the beta, VB, ICO will definitely change because of the material of the semiconductor material or the silicon material. You cannot control that one. Okay? If the temperature changes, the transistor is made of NPN type of material, which is basically a silicon crystal. So if the temperature changes, then you don't have any control over this beta, VBE, base emitter voltage, and collector saturation current. You don't have any control. It will change. If the temperature changes within the transistor, this will change. But ultimately, these changes of these parameters, beta, VBE, ICO, due to temperature, will affect the collector current. It will change the collector current. From this equation, you can easily understand that if the temperature changes, these three parameter beta, VB, ICO changes, and that actually ultimately changes the collector current. So this collector current, and this collector current is the output current of the transistor, where you will get your amplified signal. So this collector current change will change ultimately. So temperature changes these three parameters, beta, VB, ICO, and that ultimately will change the collector current. What in your hand, you don't have any control of the temperature changing the parameters, beta, VB, ICO. If the temperature changes, these three parameters will definitely change. You don't have any control over that one. But you can control the collector current change because it is circuit dependent. So if the beta, VB, ICO changes, but if you can design a circuit where if this parameter changes, the collector current will be minimum, there you have the control. So this is we are actually doing with the help of any biasing circuit. So if this parameter changes due to temperature change, then the collector current, if we can make the collector current change minimum by this type of specific biasing circuits, and that is why we are doing this type of analysis in the different biasing circuits. I hope that you have understood this one. Okay. Next, so the equation is this one. So this is the equation where the collector current is a function of beta, VBE, and ICO. Next, we have to calculate the stability factors. So once the equation is there, though the equation looks like very difficult one, this equation is looks very complicated one, but it is a very simple algebra. After this, what you have to do, we have to calculate three stability factors. One is the SICO. That means we have to differentiate this equation with respect to ICO. Remaining beta and VBE, maintaining beta and VBE, or considering beta and VBE as a constant. then we will get del IC by del ICO. That will give you the stability factor with respect to ICO. Second parameter, second stability factor, that SVBE, we have to we have to differentiate this equation with respect to VBE, maintaining ICO and beta as a constant. That will give you SVBE. And the third one is we have to differentiate this whole equation by the beta, maintaining VBE and ICO as a constant. That will give you S beta or del IC by del beta. So by differentiating like this, we can calculate the three stability factors. I am not going into the detail of this derivation process, but I am showing you the results, the final results of this derivation process, differentiation, and that results is like this one. So you can do it, but ultimately you will get these expressions. So these are the expressions actually. I hope that you can see that this is your okay. So okay, this is the expression for SICO. After the differentiation, if you arrange the differentiation, then you will get SICO, and this is the expression. This expression is looks very complicated, but we will compare with the fixed bias circuit. It is the expression is beta plus 1 by 1 plus beta into RC by RC plus RB. So this is a fraction. Okay, RC by RC plus RC plus RB. This is a fraction less than 1, and beta is the amplification factor. Again, if you calculate the SVBE, just differentiating that collector current equation in the previous slide, but with respect to VBE, maintaining beta and ICO constant, you will get this one. You can do it by yourself. It is not very difficult one, and ultimately you will reach this expression. So SVBE is minus beta by RB plus RC into 1 plus beta. So this is the expression for SVBE. And lastly, the last one, you will get S beta. Similarly, you have to differentiate that collector current equation. That means this collector current equation. If you can see this one. So in the previous slide, that if you differentiate this equation, this collector current equation in the bottom, if you differentiate with respect to beta, then you will get that one, that equation. From that, you can calculate the S beta. Just a simple mathematics, okay, nothing else. But the conclusion will be, we will conclude that whether this circuit is good or not. Don't bother about the expressions or the mathematical process. So S beta, the expressions will be like this. Okay, though it is looks very awkward and very large one, but don't bother about this expression. The conclusion from this expression will be much more important than the rather than the entire expressions for the S beta. S beta is like this one, and we know that VBE is 0.7 volt, which is far less than the VCC, because the supply voltage of this type of biasing circuits is of the order of several volts. That means the 10 volt, 12 volt, 15 volt, 20 volt, like this. So VBE 0.7 volt is much less than the supply voltage of the battery is connected to the biasing circuit. So S beta expression, we can neglect this one as VBE. It will not be then the expression will not be much more incorrect. Okay, we can do this thing because VBE is very less than VCC. So that then the approximate expression for the S beta will be slightly simpler one. So this is a slight simple expressions compared to the previous one. So this is the expression. Okay, so these are the expressions we have got from for the collector to base bias circuit. Okay, so these are the expressions. Look into these expressions, that SICO is equal to beta plus 1 by a denominator term. Okay, SiCO equal to beta plus 1 by a denominator. In the denominator, you have a some sort of expressions is there. SVBE equal to minus beta by RB plus RC into 1 plus beta. And S beta equal to this one. Now, all these three stability factor parameters, it is for the collector to base bias circuit. Now, from this expression, you cannot understand that whether the collector to base bias circuit is really good or not. We will now compare these expressions with the fixed bias circuit, just the previous one. You see that for the fixed bias circuit, SCO, stability factor with respect to collector saturation current, was beta plus 1. Okay? But in case of collector to base bias circuit, you see that SiCO becomes beta plus 1 divided by a factor. So in case of collector to base bias, you see that the SiCO is beta plus 1. This beta plus 1 was the stability factor for the fixed bias circuit. But in this circuit, you have a denominator expression, which is larger than 1. So beta plus 1 divided by some expression, which is larger than 1. Okay? So SiCO compared to the fixed bias circuit is less, value is less. In case of fixed bias circuit, you have beta plus 1, which was the beta, usually the transistor beta is of the order of very high value, 10 to 100, 110. So this is the order of the beta usually in case of a transistor. Then beta plus 1 is a large value. So that makes the stability factor very high. If the stability factor value is very high, that means it is a stability is low for the circuit. So SiCO in case of fixed bias circuit was beta plus 1. So this one. But in case of collector to base bias, it is beta plus 1 divided by a fraction, divided by an expression which is larger than 1. So it is less. So in case of collector to base bias, the stability factor is less than the fixed bias circuit. Value is less than the fixed bias circuit. SiCO value is less compared to the fixed bias circuit. That means this collector to base bias circuit is much more stable than the fixed bias circuit compared to the fixed bias circuit. Have you got this point? Have you understood this one? This is the reason why the collector to base bias circuit actually appears compared to the fixed bias circuit. That slight modification, that instead of the resistance RB is connected between the VCC and the base, you just change a slight modification. You just connect the RB resistance from the collector to base. That will increase the stability. Okay, why the construction of the circuit is changing? To improve the stability of the fixed bias circuit. So stability in case of fixed bias circuit is not good. So we have to solve for another circuit. We have to think for another circuit. We have to change the circuit slightly. That is why this RB resistance is not directly connected between VCC and base, but instead that RB resistance is connected between the collector and the base. And you can see after the analysis that SiCO is not beta plus 1, just like the fixed bias circuit, but it is beta plus 1 divided by some expression which makes the SiCO less compared to the fixed bias circuit. Value SiCO stability value factor value is less. That means the stability increases in this circuit. That is why this circuit actually appears. I hope that you have understood this, why the collector to base bias circuit is used, why the stability is used. Similarly, I have explained the fixed bias circuit here. I compared the fixed bias circuit with respect to the collector saturation current. And next, we will discuss the other stability factors. Just for a moment. Okay, the other stability factor is SVBE and S beta. what we have seen in case of fixed bias circuit, you just see that in case of fixed bias circuit, we have seen that SVBE is just minus beta by RB. Here you can see the expression just we have done in the previous class. That's SVBE is minus beta by RB. But in case of collector to base bias, in case of collector to base bias, you can see that we have calculated S beta. The expression is SVBE. So this is the expression for the collector to base bias. It is minus beta by RB, whereas the expression for the fixed bias, now it is beta by RB plus RC into 1 plus beta. Due to this term, the denominator is larger, and the value of this SVBE is less than the fixed bias circuit. So this will actually improve the stability with respect to VBE as well. And similarly, if you see by this similar, if you see the compare the expressions for the S beta, in case of S beta also, you will see that there is an improvement. So S beta here, S beta is this expression or this expression, and in case of collector to base bias circuit, the S beta becomes this one. Okay, if you divide this denominator, if you divide the numerator of this expression by this denominator and specifically compare the each and every term with the fixed bias circuit, you will see that S beta value is less compared to the fixed bias circuit, and that actually increases the stability in case of collector to base bias circuit. So this is the so that is why the collector to base bias circuit is much stable than that of the compared to the fixed bias circuit. The collector to base bias circuit is much more stable compared to the fixed bias circuit. So that to improve the stability factors, we have to change the construction of the biasing circuit. But both the biasing circuit, in case of fixed bias as well as the collector to base bias, both the biasing circuit make the transistor in the active region, drive the transistor in the active region, and can set the Q point in the middle of the active region. Both biasing circuit actually make the transistor in the active region, and signal can be amplified, but the stability can be improved, but by slightly changing the construction of the fixed bias circuit, that RB resistance is now connected between collector to base. And from this stability analysis, we can say that the stability, comparing this stability factor values expressions with the fixed bias circuit, we can say that the stability in case of collector to base bias is much more better than the fixed bias circuit. Have you got this one? Have you understood this? This one? Is there any question? Is there any question? Anyone? Have you got this? Got it fully? Have you understood this one clearly?
স্যার একটা কোশ্চেন ছিল।
হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ বলো।
স্যার বলছি ফিক্সড বায়াস সার্কিটে আপনি বললেন যে ভিসিসিটা যদি ডাইরেকশন আমি চেঞ্জ করে দিই তাহলে ওটা মানে ট্রানজিস্টরটা কাজ করা বন্ধ করে দেবে, তো ওটা কেন হচ্ছে? ওটা যদি আরেকবার রিপিট করেন।
ফিক্সড বায়াস বা কালেক্টর টু বেস বায়াস যে কোনো সার্কিটে তুমি ভিসিসি চেঞ্জ করে দিলেই তোমার ট্রানজিস্টরটা এই এনপিএন ট্রানজিস্টরটা আর অ্যাক্টিভ রিজিয়নে থাকবে না। বুঝতে পেরেছো? এখানেও যা ট্রানজিস্টর আর ভিসিসি সাপ্লাই এখানেও একই।
হ্যাঁ, মানে ওটা রিভার্স করে দিলে কেন ওটা মানে
এটা কি এনপিএন এটা তো এনপিএন ট্রানজিস্টর, তাই তো?
হ্যাঁ,
তাহলে এইটা হচ্ছে তোমার এন, আর এইটা পি, আর এইটা হচ্ছে তোমার এন, তাই তো?
ইয়েস স্যার।
ট্রানজিস্টরে এখানে ভিসিসিটা এরকম আছে, তাহলে এইটা হচ্ছে তোমার প্লাস, এটা মাইনাস। এবারে তুমি প্রত্যেকটা জাংশনকে এখানে হচ্ছে এমিটার হচ্ছে এন, এমিটার এখানে হচ্ছে তোমার এইটা হচ্ছে এমিটার এন, এন হচ্ছে এমিটার, আর বেস হচ্ছে পি। তাহলে এই যে পিএন জাংশনটার যদি ফরওয়ার্ড বায়াসে থাকতে হয়, তাহলে এনটা শুড বি কানেক্টেড টু দ্য প্লাস টার্মিনাল and P should be connected to the more positive potential. But in this case, VCC, to me, if you see the polarity of the VCC, if you see the polarity, that minus is connected to the N, is not it?
Yes, sir. Minus is
Minus
connected
is
to the
connected to
negative.
the N emitter. So the tendency of this circuit, not the tendency, that this PN junction, that is the base and emitter, P base and N emitter, there is a junction. Here is a junction, you know that it is a PN junction, nothing else, nothing more. Okay, it will work similarly as that of the PN junction, what you have learned in the basic electronics class. So PN junction, it is a PN junction where the N material is connected to the minus terminal of the VCC. So this PN junction will be in the forward bias, is not it? Have you got it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let us now change the polarity. If you change the polarity here, suppose your polarity of the battery is like this one. So this is your positive terminal, and now that is the negative terminal. If the polarity is like this one, then what will happen? So this is now negative and this is now positive. It's not, you have reversed the VCC supply. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Now plus is connected to the N emitter. So what will happen to this PN junction? It will be forward bias or reverse bias?
Reverse bias also.
Definitely reverse bias hobe. N is connected to the plus terminal. N material is connected to the positive terminal. That means it will be a reverse bias. Okay?
Yes, sir.
So this PN junction will be in the reverse bias and no current will flow. The transistor action will not be there. So this PN junction will be reverse bias. And also you see now N now this N polarity, after you have reversed the VCC, N negative polarity is now connected to the N collector. So this collector and emitter PN junction, so this PN junction, collector emitter PN junction will be in the forward bias.
হ্যাঁ স্যার, হ্যাঁ এটা ফরওয়ার্ডে চলে যাবে।
এটা ফরওয়ার্ডে চলে যাবে, তাহলে মানে কালেক্টর বেস জাংশন চলে যাচ্ছে ফরওয়ার্ডে, বেস এমিটার জাংশন চলে যাচ্ছে রিভার্সে। তোমার তো দরকার বেস এমিটার জাংশনটা ফরওয়ার্ডে যাবে,
ফরওয়ার্ডের দরকার, হ্যাঁ।
তবে গিয়ে এমিটার থেকে এই ইলেকট্রন, মেজরিটি ইলেকট্রন গুলো বেস এমিটার জাংশনকে ক্রস করে বেসের থ্রু দিয়ে কালেক্টরে পৌঁছে কালেক্টর কারেন্ট দেবে, সেটা তো হবে না। এখানে উল্টো জিনিস হয়ে যাচ্ছে, কালেক্টর এমিটার জাংশনটা ফরওয়ার্ডে চলে যাচ্ছে। যেই কালেক্টর এমিটার জাংশনটা ফরওয়ার্ডে চলে, ট্রানজিস্টর অ্যাকশনটা হবে না।
না না,
বুঝতে পেরেছো? বুঝতে পেরেছো? তোমাকে তো এমিটার,
হ্যাঁ স্যার,
ফরওয়ার্ড বায়াসে করতে হবে। এটা হবে এইরকম ব্যাটারি, এরকম ব্যাটারি পোলারিটি তোমার কানেকশন, এই ট্রানজিস্টর কাজ করবে, কিন্তু তোমাকে ট্রানজিস্টরটাকে চেঞ্জ করতে হবে। এখানে তোমার এনপিএন দিলে হবে না, এখানে তোমাকে পিএনপি দিতে হবে। মানে যে ট্রানজিস্টরটা এইদিকে অ্যারো,
হ্যাঁ উপর দিকে
পিএনপি দিলে ওই যে ব্যাটারি যে প্লাসটা তোমার, এবার তখন ওই ব্যাটারিটাকে রিভার্স করতে হবে তোমাকে। বুঝতে পেরেছো? যে কোনো একটা তোমাকে চেঞ্জ করতেই হবে, আইদার তুমি ট্রানজিস্টর চেঞ্জ করো অথবা ভিসিসি চেঞ্জ করো। বুঝতে পেরেছো?
হ্যাঁ স্যার, বোঝা গেছে।
বুঝেছো আশা করি।
হ্যাঁ স্যার।
এনি আদার কোশ্চেন? এনি আদার কোশ্চেন? এটা বুঝতে পেরেছো তাহলে আশা করি, যে কালেক্টর টু বেস বায়াস সার্কিটটা কেন ফিক্সড বায়াসের থেকে বেটার। যদিও এই দুটো বায়াসিং সার্কিটের একটা কমন কনস্ট্রাকশন আমি তোমাদের বলে দিচ্ছি, একটা কমন জায়গায় এরা এ করছে, সেটা হচ্ছে এই যে ফিক্সড বায়াস সার্কিট, ইউ সি দ্য ফিক্সড বায়াস সার্কিট, that emitter is directly connected to ground in case of fixed bias circuit, as well as in case of collector to base bias circuit also you see that emitter is directly connected to ground. Okay, this emitter in the two biasing circuit is directly connected to ground. This connection, actually, truly speaking, direct connection of the emitter to the ground actually reduces the stability of these type of biasing circuits. Though the collector to base bias circuit has a improved stability compared to the fixed bias, but both the biasing circuit has a emitter is directly connected to ground. So this is the main problem. Okay, so we will now discuss the self-bias circuit. The third one, which is the most widely used and stable biasing circuit. Usually the transistor amplifier circuit or the fake MOSFET amplifier circuit actually uses the self-bias circuit. This self-bias circuit, why it is called self-bias, we will a little bit discuss this one also, that self-bias circuit is the most stable one. It has an automatic control over the thermal runaway. If the collector current somehow changes, fluctuates, it will automatically reduce the collector current. So the collector current change with respect to the temperature change. First, you have the temperature change that will change the beta VB ICO that will affect the collector current. It will fluctuate the collector current. But in case of self bias or the fixed emitter bias circuit, this collector current change due to temperature change will be automatically corrected. The circuit will automatically correct the collector collector current change. So this is your self bias of the emitter bias circuit. You see the first picture, self bias or the emitter bias or the voltage divider bias, different names are there, but they have the same circuit. So this is your self bias circuit. Now this circuit, this second circuit is the equivalent of this first one. So just you have to focus into the first one circuit. This is the actual circuit. So this circuit actually is a voltage divider biasing or the self bias or the self bias circuit or the voltage divider bias circuit. Okay. This circuit or the emitter bias circuit. So there may be different names, but the circuit is same. So this is the biasing circuit. This circuit looks very complicated, but if you can understand the analysis or the construction of the circuit, then it will not be so. It is slightly complicated than the previous two biasing circuits. This biasing circuit is the most stable one, and it is used in case of amplifier circuit. So this circuit, whenever you require a CE amplifier to amplify the signal, so usually this biasing circuit is required. Whenever you have a precise, stable amplification required, this biasing circuit will serve the purpose. The construction of this circuit is that, so this is your VCC supply. Now we say that the RC resistance or the collector resistance, RC, is connected between the VCC and the collector. Okay, so RC resistance connected in this way actually supply the collector current. But now in this circuit you see that emitter is not directly connected to the ground. But in case of fixed bias or the collector to base bias circuit, you have seen that emitter was directly connected to the ground. This was the major drawback of the previous two circuits. Emitter is directly connected to the ground in the earlier two circuits, actually reduces the stability. If you impose or if you connect a resistance, which is called the emitter resistance RE, between emitter and the ground, then this emitter resistance actually gives the circuit more stable. We will discuss this one. And instead of the RB resistance, previously you have seen that the base base current was supplied by a resistance which is called the RB resistance. This base resistance RB, in case of fixed bias circuit, was connected between the VCC and base. But in case of collector to base bias circuit, we have slight modification that the RB resistance is not connected to the VCC, but it is connected to the collector. But in both the cases, the single RB resistance actually supplies the base current in earlier two biasing circuit. But in this case, instead of a single RB resistance, we have a two resistances actually is there. So one is the R1 resistance, another is the R2 resistance. These two resistance simultaneously supply the base current or the give the base bias. The R1 resistance is connected between the VCC, this point, and the base terminal point, and R2 resistance is connected between the base terminal point and the ground point. So this two resistance actually divides the VCC in the total VCC voltage is divided among these two resistances R1 and R2. That is why it is also known as a voltage divider bias. The biasing circuit is also known as the voltage divider bias, and another name of this circuit. So the construction, I hope that you have understood that how the construction is compared to the other two circuits. Instead of a single RB resistance, you have now two resistances that actually connected in this way. R1 is connected between VCC and the base, and R2 is connected between the base and the ground. These two resistors simultaneously supply the base current IB, DC base current IB. So this is the voltage divider biasing arrangement. These two resistance R1, R2 gives the base supply or the base bias. And the RC resistance actually gives you the collector supply current, actually supplies the collector current of the bias, collector biasing is there. So this RC resistance is connected just like the previous two circuits. It is connected between VCC and the collector. So IC current is flowing through this RC. And another extra arrangement is here, that emitter is not directly connected to the ground, just like the earlier two circuits, but emitter is connected through a resistance RE. This actually gives the stability. This actually increases the stability of this circuit. So this is the construction of the circuit, and forget about the capacitors. These three capacitors here, you just forget about the capacitors, CB1, CB2, and CE. These capacitors nothing to do with the biasing or the DC. These capacitors will only comes into the picture when you apply a AC signal. So these three capacitors for the AC operation. Otherwise, first you have to set the DC condition of the circuit with respect to this VCC, R1, R2, RC, and RE, just to set the transistor in the active region. That means VB should be forward bias, and base collector junction will be reverse bias. And to set the Q point in the middle of the active region. Once this is have been done, then you apply the signal through this capacitor CB1 and take the output signal CB2, and this is CE is called the biasing, bypass capacitor. We will discuss this thing later. So this is the construction of the circuit. I hope that you have understood this one, that how the circuit is constructed. Is there any difficulty to understand this circuit? Shobhik, are you well now? What happened? Okay. ঠিক আছে, ক্লাসটা হয়ে যাওয়ার পর তোমার যে প্রিভিয়াস ক্লাসগুলো সবগুলো অ্যাটেন্ডেন্স একসঙ্গে ম্যানিপুলেট করে, তুমি ম্যানিপুলেট মানে কি, তুমি রেকর্ড করে পাঠাবে, ম্যানিপুলেট করো না, ঠিক আছে? ওকে, সো now we will discuss little bit about that, that why this circuit is much more stable than the previous two circuits. I have said that it is due to the RE resistance. So due to this RE resistance, actually this circuit is much more stable than the previous two circuits. Why it is so, we can understand from this with a very short argument. We can prove this thing, that why this circuit is so much stable. just you see that. So between base and emitter, you have a VBE, forward bias base emitter voltage. Plus is this side and minus is this side. So this is the forward bias base emitter voltage, VBE. Now, somehow the collector current is flowing through the RC resistance. This is the collector current. That collector current also flows through this emitter resistance and go to the ground. Okay, in this way, the collector current is actually flowing. Actually, the collector current is flowing in this loop. The collector current is flowing. But the collector current is also flow through the resistance RE. So this is the collector current also flows through the resistance RE. Now, if somehow due to the fluctuations of the temperature, suppose the temperature actually increases the collector current slightly. If the collector current is slightly increased, then you know that if the temperature actually increases the collector current, then you know that that will increase the collector saturation current, ICO, because it is a thermally generated current. So increase of the temperature will increase the collector saturation current, that will increase the collector current, and then again the temperature will increase, then again the collector saturation current will increase, and in this process the temperature of the reverse bias PN junction, base collector junction, will be so high that it will burn the transistor or melt down the transistor. So this is the thermal runaway. We have discussed this one. Suppose in this circuit, now you will see that this circuit will automatically reduce the collector current if it is increasing. Suppose the collector current have been increased due to the temperature fluctuation. Then what will happen? Somehow the collector current have been increased. Then what will happen? The collector current is flowing through the RE resistance. Okay. Then the voltage drop across this RE resistance will be increased because the collector current is flowing through this RE resistance. If the collector current is slightly increased, then the voltage drop across the RE resistance will be increased. Okay. So the voltage drop have been increased. If the voltage drop increases, then this negative potential will decrease because if the voltage drop increases means this side plus, this side minus, current is flowing in this way. So this point potential increases. That means the negative terminal of the VBE potential actually increases. So if the collector current increases, voltage drop across this RE resistance actually increases. This point potential is ground, that means zero potential. So voltage drop is increasing means this point potential is rising. So negative point potential of VBE actually rises. So the difference between this plus and this point negative point potential will be now less. Previously it was more. Now this collector current increasing. So voltage drop across RE is increasing. So the emitter potential slightly rises. So now the difference between the base potential and the emitter potential is less. So the base emitter junction potential is less than the previous one. So if the base emitter junction potential, that is the forward biasing of the emitter base junction, have been reduced, if the forward biasing of the base emitter junction have been reduced, that will automatically reduce the base current, and that will ultimately reduce the collector current. So this is the basic mechanism. If you connect this RE resistance, if the collector current tries to increase, then this mechanism actually reduces the collector current. So collector current cannot increase. So this is a automatic feedback process is there, negative feedback is there through the resistance RE, that actually reduces the collector current, increasing collector current to its original value. Similarly, if you think the opposite process, if the collector current is decreasing, then what happens? This point potential actually go down. So the difference between the base and emitter potential increases. If the base emitter potential increases, that means the VBE increases, forward biasing potential is increasing, that will increase the base current. If the base current increases, then the collector current will increase. So the falling collector current again will be revoked to its original value. Okay, so this is the feedback mechanism that actually does not allow any collector current change. If the collector current change by temperature, then it will automatically set the collector current to its original value by this feedback mechanism. And similarly, if the collector current changes by any other means, circuit due to this RE resistance, this circuit will automatically make the collector current stable, and that is why this circuit is the most stable circuit compared to the other two circuits, because of this emitter resistance connected to the emitter side of the between the emitter and the ground of this circuit. So this one, okay, and it is written here. It is written here that if IC increases as ICO increases due to the rise in the temperature, this increase the voltage drop across RE, and hence the forward bias of the base emitter junction. Okay. Forward bias of the base emitter junction actually reduces. There is a mistake that this increases the voltage drop across the RE. Hence, the forward bias of the base emitter junction reduces. One keyword have been missed here. So you just add this after the junction, you use the reduces. As a result, the base current is lowered, and this in turn decreases the IC collector current. So this have been written here. So this is the reason why this addition of this emitter resistance between the emitter and the ground increases the stability of this circuit. That is why this circuit is the most stable circuit. It has automatic mechanism to reduce or the stable the collector current in its original position, and that is why the stability of this circuit is very good compared to the other two circuits. Have you got this one? Is there any question? Have you understood this one? Anybody has any question? Is there any class after this one? Can I continue? Is there any question regarding this one, this circuit? Anybody has any doubt?
No,
any
sir.
Anything? If you have any question, any thing you have not understood by the discussions of these biasing circuits, you can ask me, because we have to now analyze this circuit. This is slightly complicated rather than the other two simple circuit. This is slightly complicated. This circuit. So is any question is there? Any doubt is there? Anybody? Okay. Then we discussed a little bit more about this cell bias circuit, or the emitter bias, or the voltage divider bias. Why it is called self bias? Because this circuit automatically fixes the problem. That means the increasing collector or decreasing collector current, it will restore the collector current. So there is a self correction mechanism is there. That is why it is called the self bias circuit. As well as it is called the emitter bias, because you see that there is a emitter resistance is connected. So that is why this circuit is also called the emitter biasing circuit. And also lastly, it is also known as a voltage divider bias. Why it is called the voltage divider bias? Because the VCC supply, VCC actually biases the base through the two resistances, R1 and R2, and that VCC voltage is divided among R1 and R2. That is why it is also known as a voltage divider bias. Now we will analyze this circuit. To analyze this circuit, we have to simplify this circuit a little bit. We will apply some theorem here that is called the Thevenin theorem. I hope that you know this thing. that what is the Thevenin theorem. You have applied and learned in the electrical circuit theory class. So Thevenin's theorem, we will apply Thevenin theorem into the circuit to simplify the circuit further. Now you see that this circuit in the output side, that means this portion of the circuit, you cannot do anything. Okay, the RC resistance is connected to the collector, RE resistance is connected to the emitter, and that is also connected to the VCC supply, RC resistance. So in this portion of the circuit, you cannot simplify much for this circuit, because transistor, there is a electronic device is there, that is the transistor is there, so you cannot simplify this portion of the circuit. But you can simplify this input portion, this R1 R2 combination together with the VCC. You can simplify and apply, because in this portion of the circuit you don't have the transistor semiconductor, that is the semiconductor device is not there. The transistor is not directly between R1 and R2. So you can simplify this input side or the base side of this portion of this circuit. And we will apply some Thevenin voltage here, a Thevenin theorem here. Are you familiar with the Thevenin's theorem? Everybody, are you familiar with the Thevenin theorem?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so it will be easy that you know the Thevenin's theorem. Now, just carefully listen that what I am saying. Though it is this circuit looks very complicated to apply the Thevenin theorem, because it is not a conventional electrical circuit which contains a voltage source and current source and resistances, capacitances, mainly the resistances. This type of network is not this one. It contains a transistor. So this is the highly nonlinear electronic device. To apply the Thevenin's theorem, you have to be a little bit careful. So we only avoid this transistor, and we can apply the Thevenin theorem in the input side and this portion of the circuit. We can easily apply the Thevenin's theorem here. We will apply the Thevenin theorem between these two nodes, between the base and the ground. With respect to these two points, nodes, to the left side of the of this portion of the circuit, that means this R1, R2, and VCC, we will apply the Thevenin theorem. Forget about the CV resistance, CV1 capacitor, because this capacitor nothing to do with this DC condition of the circuit. We will only focusing here the DC. This capacitors appears when you apply some AC signal. Now this circuit you can modify slightly, because the circuit construction, if you see the circuit construction, though you see that, so instead of this R1 and RC connected like this to the VCC, it is a parallel connection, is not it? This R1 and RC actually connected to the VCC parallelly. So instead of like this one, to make you understand clearly, we can connect these two resistances to two VCC sources. That means this RC is, this point is connected to VCC. So this point is connected to VCC, okay? And also this point is connected to a separate same VCC battery, similar type, same type of VCC battery. I hope that you have understood that this connection, I am just omitting this connection. Instead of this short circuit, I am separating the R1 and RC resistance. Between the RC and resistance, I am omitting this short circuit path, electrical path instead. So, but you have to be very careful, because the R1 is connected to VCC as well as the RC is connected to VCC through this electrical short circuit path. But now I am omitting this short circuit path and connected RC to a VCC supply, and another VCC is also connected to the R1 supply, R1 resistance. So that will make the potentials of the R1 and RC same. We can do this thing, okay? This is just the electrical equivalent. Next, we now apply the Thevenin theorem. It will be a little bit easy for you to make understand. So now we apply Thevenin theorem to the left-hand side of this portion of the circuit. That means we apply Thevenin's theorem here into this portion. So only for this portion, we are applying Thevenin theorem. Now this electrical path is not there. So it is separated from the right-hand side portion of the circuit. So only this portion of the circuit, we will Thevenize it. So this R1 and R2 is connected through a series path with the VCC supply. And what will be the potential of what we are now making an Thevenin's theorem between this base point or the junction of the R1, R2 and the ground point. Between these 2 points, we are now applying the Thevenin theorem. Now it will be very easy to calculate the Thevenin equivalent circuit between these 2 base and the ground, or the junction point and the ground. Can anybody say what will be the equivalent circuit and what will be, how to calculate this resistance, Thevenin voltages and Thevenin resistance? Can you calculate this one?
Sir, VCC equal to voltage drop across R1 and voltage drop across R2.
Yeah, very good. Because R1 and R2 is series connection, not exactly series, because in the middle you have the base connected. So that is exactly not the series connection. Okay, but it is R1 is connected to VCC, and now this R1 point is separated from RC point, because we have separated the electrical path by applying 2 separate VCCs to supply RC and R1, and disconnected the equivalent circuit. That will serve the same purpose. Is not it? Then we have to calculate the Thevenin. We have to apply the Thevenin theorem. What is the Thevenin theorem say actually? Between these 2 points, between any 2 nodes, you can make an equivalent circuit between these 2 points. Just you have to find the open circuit voltage and that is called the Thevenin voltage, as well as the Thevenin resistance between these 2 points. Whenever you replace all the supply voltages to the internal impedances, is not it? So just you calculate that what will be the potential difference between these 2 points. What will be the potential difference between this point and this point? That is the open circuit voltage. What will be the open circuit voltage here?
VCC into R2 by R1 plus R2.
Very good. That is correct. That is the Thevenin voltage. And what will be the Thevenin resistance between these 2 points?
R1 plus R2. Sorry sir. শুধু R2 হবে।
No.
R1 R2 by R1 plus R2.
Very good. That is the parallel connection of R1 and R2. Okay. Why it is so? Because just you are actually what you are doing here. So you have separated the VCC here, 2 VCC. So this portion of that is the green portion of the circuit is completely separated from this right-hand side portion, and we are applying Thevenin's theorem only to this portion of the circuit. This battery VCC, instead of representing the battery over the R1, this VCC like this one, we can elaborately draw the VCC, actually how the VCC is connected. VCC is actually connected like this into this portion of the circuit. So this is your VCC plus and this is your minus, and it is connected to the ground. So VCC is connected in this way. Instead of representing at the bubble over the R1, the VCC battery is actually connected like this. So this is the physical connection and this is the representation. So this VCC is connected like this battery. Okay. Then you have to find the open circuit voltage, this point and this point. So you have to disconnect this point from the base of the transistor and measure the open circuit voltage. What will be the open circuit voltage? When you disconnect this point the junction of R1 and R2 from the base, then it is completely separated from the base. So now the battery will flow a current like this. Okay, because the junction point between R1 and R2 is separated from the base. So the battery will flow a current like this. What is the current will be? VCC by R1 plus R2. That is the current flowing through this path. Then what will be the potential drop? What is the potential here? It will be current multiplied by R2. That is, current is VCC by R1 plus R2 into the potential drop across R2. So that is the current flowing through the voltage drop across between these 2 points is the potential drop across R2. That is, current is VCC by R1 plus R2 into R2. That is the open circuit voltage. And what will be the impedance seen between these 2 points? You have to short the DC voltage. So this DC voltage battery, you have to short. If you short these 2 points, then you see that R1 and R2 becomes parallel. Okay, top point of R1, this top point of the R1 through this short path comes to the bottom end of R1. So R1 and R2 becomes parallel. That is the Thevenin resistance in between these 2 points. So that is the parallel combination of R1 and R2. So in this way, we have to calculate the Thevenin potential, Thevenin voltage and the Thevenin resistances. So this is your Thevenin voltage. This is your Thevenin voltage. Just we have calculated. It is R2 into VCC by R1 plus R2. This is the Thevenin voltage. Between this point and this point, you have an equivalent circuit, that is the Thevenin equivalent circuit. And the Thevenin equivalent voltage VT is this one. And what is the equivalent resistance that is actually comes between these 2 points? It is Thevenin resistance RT. So that is R1 R2 by R1 plus R2. So between these 2 points, the left hand portion of the circuit, that means this portion of the circuit, can have a equivalent circuit which has a Thevenin battery VT in series with the Thevenin resistance RT. So that have been done in the second figure. You see that. So this is your Thevenin voltage battery in series with the Thevenin resistance between this point and this point. So between these 2 points, towards the left hand side, the entire complicated R1 R2 junction circuit is now can be replaced by the Thevenin equivalent circuit, where the Thevenin battery is VT and Thevenin resistance is RT, where VT and RT value just you can see in the below figure. So this is the simplified equivalent circuit of the original self bias circuit, just applying the Thevenin theorem. I hope that you have got this one. Have you understood this one? Is there any question? Is there any difficulty to understand? Have you got this one? Any question is there? Anybody has any doubt?
হ্যালো স্যার।
হ্যাঁ বলো।
স্যার বলছি ওই আপনি বললেন না ওইদিকে মানে মানে লেফট হ্যান্ড সাইডে আমি যদি একটা ক্যাপাসিটার লাগিয়ে দিই মানে সিরিজে R1 R2 এর সাথে, তাহলে ওর মানে R1 R2 দিয়ে একটা সার্কুলেটিভ কারেন্ট ফ্লো করবে।
ক্যাপাসিটর
মানে যেটা, হ্যাঁ ওই R1 এর সাথে লেফট হ্যান্ড সাইডে একটা ক্যাপাসিটার মানে ক্যাপাসিটার লাগিয়ে দিই এবং আইভি পোর্শনটাকে আমি যদি মানে কাট করে দিই, মানে ওটাকে আইসোলেট করে দিই।
এইটা ক্যাপাসিটর লাগাতে বলছো এখানে?
না 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 না,
তাহলে
বাঁদিকে একটা এঁকে দেখালেন না তখন।
ওটা ক্যাপাসিটর না। ওহো, আমার এখানে এই স্ক্রিনটা তো মোবাইলের স্ক্রিন, ওই জন্য অসুবিধা
হ্যাঁ
হচ্ছে। যাই হোক, এই যে ইলেকট্রিক্যাল পাথটা,
হ্যাঁ
এই যে ইলেকট্রিক্যাল পাথটা যেটা R1 R2 কে জয়েন করে রেখেছে, কেন
হুম
এটা কেন দেওয়া হয়েছে? যাতে করে এই ভিসিসি একটা ব্যাটারি থেকে দুটোতেই একই ভোল্টেজটা এখানে চলে যায়, এখানেও ভিসিসি চলে আসে, এখানেও ভিসিসি
হ্যাঁ
চলে
হ্যাঁ
আসে। সেই জন্য তো ইলেকট্রিক্যাল পাথটা দেওয়া আছে, শর্ট শর্ট করা আছে, যাতে ওই দুটো পয়েন্টের পোটেনশিয়ালটা সেম থাকে, এবং সেটা যেহেতু ভিসিসি তে কানেক্টেড আছে, সেই জন্য দুটো পয়েন্টেই ভিসিসি সাপ্লাইটা একসঙ্গে চলে যাবে, একটা ব্যাটারি দিয়ে হয়ে যাবে, তাই তো? সেই জন্য তো ওটা
হ্যাঁ
করা আছে।
হ্যাঁ
তো
দুটো
ওটাকে আমরা একটু ইকুইভ্যালেন্ট হিসেবে ভাবতে পারি, যে এই পাথটা আমি তো থেভেনিন অ্যাপ্লাই করব, থেভেনিন অ্যাপ্লাই করব এই পোর্শনটা সার্কিটের, এই পোর্শনে থেভেনিন অ্যাপ্লাই করব, কিন্তু এইখানে যদি কানেকশন থাকে তাহলে তো অসুবিধা, তোমার বুঝতে অসুবিধা হবে। তোমার বোঝার সুবিধার জন্য আমি ওটা করছিলাম, যে সেম সার্কিটটার ইকুইভ্যালেন্ট আমি করতে পারি, যে এইটাকে আমি শর্ট পাথটাকে বাদ দিয়ে দেবো, শুধু এই ভিসিসি ব্যাটারিটা একে ভিসিসি সাপ্লাই দিচ্ছে, আর ওই শর্ট পাথটা নেই, ধরে নাও নেই। বুঝতে পেরেছো?
আচ্ছা
দাঁড়াও, তোমাকে কি করে বোঝাই এখন,
না
দাঁড়াও
না
ওটাকে।
বুঝেছি মানে একটা সোর্স দিয়ে আমি সেম ভোল্টেজ দুটোতেই দিচ্ছি আর
হ্যাঁ, এখানে তো একটা সোর্স দিয়ে, ধরো আমি এটাকে এরকম করছি, ধরো এই পাথটা নেই, এই পাথটা নেই, ঠিক আছে, এইভাবে বোঝানো যাবে না, যাই হোক। এই পাথটা নেই, এটা তোমার হচ্ছে আমি ওই পাথটা আমি খুলে দিয়েছি। খুলে দিলে দেখো তাহলে সার্কিটটা একই রকম থাকবে না, কিন্তু তোমার যতক্ষণ না প্রত্যেকটা পয়েন্টের ভোল্টেজ এবং কারেন্টটা যদি একই থাকে, তবে তাকে বলে ইকুইভ্যালেন্ট সার্কিট। যেই তুমি ওটা খুলে দিলে, তখন এই আরসি তে দেখো, আরসি তে তোমার এই ভিসিসি সাপ্লাইটা আছে,
হ্যাঁ
কিন্তু R1 এ ভিসিসি সাপ্লাইটা নেই।
না
তাহলে R1 এ তোমার ভিসিসি সাপ্লাই একটা দিতে হবে, তবে গিয়ে সার্কিটটা ইকুইভ্যালেন্ট সার্কিট হবে, এই সার্কিটের মতো সেম কাজ করবে, যেটা ওইটা খুলে দেওয়ার পর। সেই জন্য তোমার কি করতে হচ্ছে, তোমাকে আরেকটা ভিসিসি ব্যাটারি এখানে লাগাতে হবে, এখানে।
হ্যাঁ 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 এক্সট্রা আরেকটা সোর্স চাই
তবে গিয়ে তো ওই R1 এর মাথায় ভিসিসি ভোল্টেজটা থাকবে, আসবে।
হ্যাঁ
তুমি শর্টটা খুলে দিলেই মানে তোমার যে সার্কিটটা ইকুইভ্যালেন্ট হবে না, তো সার্কিটটা চেঞ্জ হয়ে যাচ্ছে। কিন্তু তোমার যদি প্রত্যেকটা পয়েন্টের পোটেনশিয়াল আর কারেন্ট সেম থাকে, তবে গিয়ে সার্কিটটা ইকুইভ্যালেন্ট হবে। যেই তুমি শর্টটা খুলে দিলে, আরসির মাথায় ভিসিসিটা ছিল সেটা ঠিক আছে, কিন্তু R1 এর মাথায় ভিসিসিটা তো নেই, তোমাকে আরেকটা ভিসিসি ব্যাটারি R1 এর মাথায় লাগাতে হবে, তবে গিয়ে সার্কিটটা ইকুইভ্যালেন্ট হবে। আগের যে সার্কিটটা, খুলে দেওয়ার পরের সার্কিটটা সেম, তাই তো?
হ্যাঁ স্যার হ্যাঁ
বুঝেছো?
হ্যাঁ স্যার এইটাই বেশি ইকোনমিক মানে যেটা একটা সোর্স দিয়ে
সেটা এখন ভুলে যাও। আমি এটাকে জাস্ট কনসেপচুয়ালি ইকুইভ্যালেন্ট সার্কিটের কনসেপ্ট দিয়ে আমি থেভেনিনটাকে অ্যাপ্লাই করব।
হুম
অ্যাকচুয়ালি আমি খোলার কোনো দরকারই নেই, ঠিক আছে, আমি জাস্ট থেভেনিন অ্যাপ্লাই করে সার্কিটটাকে আমি রিডিউস করে নেব, সিম্পলিফাই করে নেবো, যাতে করে আমার অ্যানালিসিস করতে সুবিধা হয়। না হলে কিন্তু অনেক কেভিএল কেসিএল লাগিয়ে অনেক তিনটে লুপের ইকুয়েশন তোমাকে অ্যানালিসিস করতে হবে। এবারে দেখো, এই পোর্শন অফ দ্য সার্কিটটা আমি ইজিলি থেভেনিস করতে পারবো, কারণ এই কানেকশনটা তো আর নেই। আছে কি ওই কানেকশনটা? নেই তো।
না না
তাহলে এইটাকে আমি খুব সহজে থেভেনাইজ করতে পারবো। তাহলে এই দুটো পয়েন্টের মধ্যে থেভেনিন ভোল্টেজটা হচ্ছে ওপেন সার্কিট ভোল্টেজ, সেটা হচ্ছে এইখান দিয়ে যে কারেন্টটা যাবে, তার জন্য এই অ্যাক্রসে যে ড্রপটা হবে, সেটা হবে ভিসিসি বাই R1 প্লাস R2 ইন্টু R2। আর এই দুটো পয়েন্টের মধ্যে যে থেভেনিন ইকুইভ্যালেন্ট রেজিস্ট্যান্সটা পাবো, সেটা কি, এই ভিসিসিটাকে শর্ট করতে হবে যেভাবে থেভেনিন করে আর কি। তাহলে R1 R2 প্যারালাল হয়ে গেল। তাহলে এই দুটো পয়েন্টের মধ্যে যে রেজিস্ট্যান্স দেখতে পাচ্ছি, সেটা হচ্ছে R1 R2 বাই R1 প্লাস R2। তাহলে
হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ
ওই পোর্শনটুকু, তাহলে ভালো করে দেখো যে তোমার এই যে পোর্শনটুকু, এই পোর্শনটুকু তোমার আমার থেভেনাইজ হয়ে গেল, ইকুইভ্যালেন্ট হয়ে গেল, সিম্পলিফাই হয়ে গেল। আমি এইটা ডিসকানেক্ট করেছি শুধু তোমাদের বোঝানোর জন্য, ঠিক আছে? তাহলে ওইটুকু পোর্শন আমরা রিডিউসড ভার্সন রাখতে পারি। কমপ্লিকেটেড সার্কিটটা ইকুইভ্যালেন্ট সিম্পল হয়ে গেল, যে একটা ব্যাটারি আছে, তার সঙ্গে সিরিজে 8টি আছে। তাহলে এই সার্কিটটা, এই পোর্শনটা সার্কিটটা অনেকটা সিম্পল হয়ে গেল। এটা হচ্ছে ইকুইভ্যালেন্স সার্কিট অফ দ্য সেলফ বায়াস সার্কিট। এবারে তোমার অ্যানালিসিস করতে সুবিধা হবে কেন না, এখন দেখো দুটো লুপ আছে, এখন অনলি ইউ হ্যাভ টু লুপস। কি কি নয়েজ ইজ কামিং? হ্যাঁ, তুমি তুমি একটু মিউট করে নাও, দিয়ে আমার কথাগুলো শোনো তাহলে, আর যদি কোশ্চেন থাকে আমাকে জিজ্ঞেস করবে। তাহলে দেখো এই সার্কিটটা, আগের সার্কিটটা দেখো কটা লুপ ছিল, এখানে একটা লুপ, এখানে আরেকটা লুপ, আর এইখানে আরেকটা লুপ। এটা একটা হচ্ছে তোমার 3 মেশ সার্কিট ছিল আগেরটা। থেভেনাইজ ইকুইভ্যালেন্ট থেভেনিন থিওরেমটা অ্যাপ্লাই করে এই সার্কিটটা আমি সিম্পল করে নিলাম। অনলি 2 লুপস নাও, ওয়ান ইজ দ্য ইনপুট লুপ, this one, and another is the output loop, this one. Okay, so these are the 2 loops, only 2 loops. The equivalent circuit has only 2 loops, otherwise the previous circuit was 3 loops. So this mesh equation, 3 mesh equations, you know that how to solve these mesh equations. You have to determinant solution will be there, but this will be much more complicated rather than the equivalent circuit. After you apply the Thevenin's theorem, now the circuit is simple one. You have only 2 loops, in the input side 1 loop and the output side another loop. So this equivalent circuit, to analyze the circuit, this equivalent circuit will be much more simpler to handle. That is why we have simplified this one. Have you got this one? তুমি তোমার
Yes,
কোশ্চেনের
sir.
অ্যান্সার পেয়েছো?
হ্যাঁ স্যার বুঝেছি, ওটা বেশি
ওটা আমি
কমপ্লিকেটেড হয়ে।
না, ওটা আমি ক্যাপাসিটর ওটা হচ্ছে ভিসিসি সাপ্লাইটাকে 2 জায়গায় লাগাচ্ছিলাম, ঠিক আছে?
হ্যাঁ, সাপ্লাইটা সেপারেট ভাবে লাগানো হচ্ছে।
হুম। আর কোনো কোশ্চেন আছে?
নো স্যার।
আর কারো কোনো কোশ্চেন আছে? ইজ দেয়ার এনি কোশ্চেন ফ্রম আদার্স? Any concept, any conceptual question is there? Anything you have not understood from this for these discussions? ঠিক আছে, আজকে এই অবধি থাক, এরপরে বেশি তোমাদের বললে তোমার অতটা করতে পারবে কিনা জানি না। নেক্সট ডে এটা কমপ্লিট করে দেবো, ঠিক আছে? আজকে তোমাদের এই অবধি থাক। সেলফ বায়াস সার্কিটে তোমার যদি শুধু তোমার ওই সিম্পলিফিকেশনটা থাক, নেক্সট ডে উই উইল অ্যানালাইজ দিস সার্কিট অ্যান্ড we will find the concept, or we will discuss the concept of the Q point load line, and what is a Q point we will discuss in the later class, next class. And also we will deduce the stability factors, and we will analyze this stability with respect to the previous circuits. Okay. Is there any question from anybody?